Go ahead,
Good
Judge,
morning,
whenever you're ready.
everyone. I think we're ready to go. Let me be the first to welcome everyone who is joining us virtually, members of the bench and the bar, and the many friends and family members of those that we honor today. We are very grateful to be able to continue this long-standing tradition here in Monroe County, even during these challenging times. And we appreciate all the effort that has gone into facilitating this virtual format. I also want to thank everyone, or ask everyone in advance for your patience and your understanding up front in the event that we have more technology issues. We know that these things happen, can always happen during a virtual event. And I want to pray in advance for your grace and your patience if those issues continue to arise. It really is an honor for me to preside over this proceeding today. And I'm very grateful and I'm really honored to have been given the privilege to preside today. On behalf of all the judges of the courts here in Monroe County and all the court staff, I want to extend our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to the friends and families of all those we are honoring today. I know I speak for every one of our judges and our entire court staff when I tell you that this observance is always very meaningful for us. It's always a very meaningful day. As you all know, our legal community here in Monroe County is very close-knit. We are truly a family. And this observance today gives all of us in the legal profession an opportunity to reflect on the members of our family whom we see no longer, but who live on in our hearts and memories as those we have loved and respected as friends, colleagues, and fellow stewards of the law. During this ceremony, we are reminded of the sacrifices made by the attorneys that we honor today to clear a path so that we can do the work that we do. And in particular, during these uncharted times filled with sacrifice and uncertainty, and attorneys and judges going above and beyond to find ways to continue our work in the legal profession. We recognize the foundation established for us by the attorneys we honor today that has allowed us over the last year and a half to navigate successfully some really rough waters. On behalf of my fellow attorneys and judges, I also want to say a thank you to all of the families that are here today, that are listening and watching, for supporting the attorneys that we remember today throughout their legal careers. In many ways, you have given them to all of us. You have shared them with all of us. All those late nights away from the family, the hard work that they did for others, and the problems that they kept solving in their minds long after they left the office. You have supported all of them as they worked with all of us to move the law forward. So today, we honor your sacrifices as well. And for those sacrifices, we will always be grateful. So I want to thank the members of the Monroe County Bar Association Memorial Committee, and I want to thank all those who work to make sure that not only today during these observations, but that every day, all of us in the legal profession remember how important it is that we honor the attorneys who have passed on by carrying on their work, carrying on the legal profession, and holding high the torch that they have passed on to all of us. It is now my pleasure to thank and introduce the chair of the Memorial Committee, Scott Rogoff. Mr. Rogoff.
Judge, thank you so much. And thank you for your poignant and heartfelt remarks. They are so true, and we all greatly appreciate them. And thank you for presiding over this ceremony today. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being with us today at the Monroe County Bar Association's 2021 virtual memorial ceremony. members of the judiciary, honored guests, the family and friends of those attorneys and judges we pay tribute today. May it please the court, I move that the court open these special proceedings so the Monroe County Bar Association's Memorial Committee can pause today to honor the 26 attorneys of the Greater Rochester area who have passed away from September 1, 2020 to September 1, 2021.
Thank you, counsel. Your motion is granted. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Before we begin with the reading of the tributes, I also would like to thank everyone for joining us today. And naturally, although we would have preferred to be in the courtroom in person at the Hall of Justice with the family and friends of our colleagues who have passed away, we're honored to be here and engage in this ceremony. In an effort to virtually recreate a personal presence at the ceremony as best we can, members of the Monroe County Bar Association Memorial Committee and members of the judiciary have joined us on Zoom. They can be seen on the right side panel of your screen. They're here to honor those who have passed on and to show support for the families and loved ones who are here today. During the tribute presentation, please feel free to share thoughts about your loved ones in the Zoom chat box. The Monroe County Bar Association will make a tribute booklet to a family, they will mail a tribute booklet to a family representative from each attorney's family. The booklet contains written tributes that may be greater in length than the tributes read today. For the sake of time, we have limited the length of the tributes that will be presented on camera, but we encourage you all to take a few minutes and read the full tributes provided in the booklet, as they are moving, beautiful, and inspiring. The tribute booklet will also be posted on the Monroe County Bar Association's website. I will now ask Daniel Matias from the Monroe County Bar Association to please begin the tribute presentation.
A tribute for Jennifer L. Gravitz, respectfully submitted by her family. Jennifer L. Gravitz passed away after 61 years of embracing life with energetic joy and love. She lived her whole life loving and serving others. A graduate of Albany Law School, Jennifer became an attorney to be a positive influence in the world. She was a driving force for same-sex couple adoptions. Her 40-year career at RIT included 20 years in the Department of Criminal Justice, chairing NTID's Department of Liberal Studies, interpreting ASL, serving as Hillel chaplain, and leading many birthright trips to Israel. Jennifer was also a fierce advocate for gay marriage, touching the lives of countless individuals. She devoted her life as an attorney, professor, and rabbi to the deaf, Jewish, and GLBT communities. Jennifer had a profound impact on individuals who were struggling with their identity, sometimes as a gay person, sometimes as a Jew, and sometimes as both. She never hesitated to be there for others at their worst times, spending hours with them to discuss Judaism and their communities. It's impossible to describe Jennifer's incredible impact as a wife, mother, daughter, bubby, professor, rabbi, attorney, friend, mentor, and advocate. She brought contagious energy and passion into every interaction. Spending a few minutes with Jennifer left you feeling seen, heard, and valued. Jennifer consistently voiced and signed, "I love you," and she reminded us that life is for living. We can honor her amazing spirit by doing exactly that. We, her family and friends, miss her terribly, but are deeply grateful that she shared her life and love with us. Her memory is indeed a blessing.
A tribute to Thomas N. Trevette, March 14th, 1942 to September 9th, 2020, submitted by Louis V Christo. Tom Trevette was my law partner and my mentor, but most importantly to me, my friend. Each day I practiced law, if I were as gracious, kind, and compassionate to my partners and staff, my clients, and my peers in the legal community as Tom was, that day would have been a success. Tom's commitment to efforts he undertook was unflappable. Whether it was his service to a local county bar association president, a state bar section chair, or a high school board president, when Tom decided to advance an effort, he never took half measures. He gave of himself without equivocation. If called upon to create a single snapshot of Tom in anecdote form, I would offer the following. I was once approached by an out-of-town attorney in court not known to me. He introduced himself and recounted a story. He told me he was involved in his first trial in Rochester a number of years back. His opponent was Tom Trevette. He was then confronting the most harrowing experience in a trial lawyer's professional life. He said Tom, his opponent at the time, an accomplished trial lawyer, never once took advantage of his inexperience and at all times treated him as a worthy, seasoned opponent. He said he never forgot that. This exemplifies Tom, in my opinion, a reflection of his humanity. Tom was never defined by the physical challenges that he confronted. He was defined by overcoming them and doing so seemingly effortlessly. I miss his smile. Tom is survived by his loving wife, Margaret, children, Monica, Thomas, and Millicent, as well as grandchildren, Paxton, Stephen, Hope, Beckham, and Brooks.
To Stephen Barnes, Esquire, November 5, 1958 to October 2, 2020, respectfully submitted by Ellen Sturm, Esquire. Our friend, mentor, and colleague, Steve Barnes, passed away tragically on October 2, 2020, when the private plane he was traveling in crashed on its return flight to Buffalo from Manchester, New Hampshire. A 1983 magna cum laude graduate of the University of Buffalo Law School, Steve was a giant in the legal community, both locally and nationally. He was the founding member of the Barnes firm of California and New York, and a founding member of the now dissolved firm of Cellino and Barnes of New York. Over the course of his career, Steve mentored scores of lawyers and always generously offered his time and attention to the cases they were working on. Steve's hands-on approach and friendly tutelage gave the lawyers working for him confidence and inspiration to do their best work. Over and over again since his passing, lawyers have expressed how Steve was the best boss they ever had because he was always there to help them, to guide them, and to inspire them. Steve was a veteran of the Gulf War and a proud Marine. In 1984, Steve was commissioned as second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. Steve was promoted to major when he left the reserves in 1991 to pursue his legal career. Steve was an avid golf hiker and mountaineer with a voracious interest in politics. He is survived by me, Ellen Sturm, his life partner of 12 years, his mother, Marion Barnes, his 3 children, Josiah, Rachel, and Julia, his brother, Richard, his nephew, Brian, and many friends, relatives, and colleagues. Today would have been Steve's 63rd birthday. Semper Fidelis, Steve. Respectfully submitted by Ellen Sturm. Tribute to G. Michael Miller, Esquire, September 3, 1953 to January 4, 2021. Respectfully submitted by Michael's wife, Deborah Miller. G. Michael Miller died unexpectedly January 4, 2021 at the age of 67. He was survived by his loving wife of 46 years, Deborah, children Sean and Carolyn, grandchildren Brandon, Gavin, and Vienna, and a host of family, friends, and colleagues. Michael grew up in Oil City, Pennsylvania, where his love of wildlife, Pennsylvania, and the Adirondack Mountains began. He attended Gannon University before going to law school at the Georgetown University Law Center. Michael spoke of no regrets in becoming an attorney. He considered it a difficult profession, but one that could be rewarding. For the past 30 years, Michael was a loyal and dedicated partner with Gerald Dibble. Mr. Dibble has said that Michael was the best real estate lawyer in upstate New York and the best legal analyst he ever dealt with. His friend and fellow Rochester lawyer, Mike Berger, said estates and trust law was well suited to Michael's intellect and temperament. Mr. Berger called him a scholar's scholar who had a philosopher's outlook. Michael knew the law and understood why it all fit together, its policy, underpinnings, and recipe, and its human side. Michael was an honest and caring with an impeccable work ethic. Clients and colleagues appreciated his compassion, patience, integrity, good listening skills, and mentorship. He was an avid reader, foodie, and lover of 70s rock music and travel. He was a devoted fan of the Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Steelers, and a lifelong curious learner. He will be remembered fondly and missed sorely. Respectfully submitted by Michael's wife, Deborah Miller.
A tribute to Donald Forsythe, Esquire. Donald Forsythe passed on November 2nd, 2020, at the age of 99. He died at home in Webster, overlooking his beloved Lake Ontario. The home had floor-to-ceiling windows facing west, north, and east. From his perch in the living room, he watched all sorts of creatures and all variety of weather go by. He delighted in the beautiful sunsets off Hamlin Beach. Donald was a third-generation Forsythe to practice law in Rochester. He was preceded by his grandfather, George, a former district attorney, and his father, Walter. He had two cousins, Jack and Ben, who practiced at Forsythe House. Carrying on the family tradition are his sons, Scott and George. He and they practiced as Forsythe and Forsythe. The sons continue the practice in the same name. A granddaughter, Caitlin Kirker, an associate at Harder Sechrest, represents the fifth generation. Donald's passions were family. Wife Ruth predeceased him, 3 sons, and 5 grandchildren. Travel, often with family, law, skiing, the University of Rochester, of which he was an alumnus, bridge, and the Buffalo Bills. Donald had a wry sense of humor. He ran for office once in 1961 for county court as a Democrat at a time Republicans dominated. He lost badly. Many a friend claimed they did not know he was on the ballot. Not taking the loss personally, he joked, the uninformed voter elected his opponent. Donald's family will miss him. Respectfully submitted by Scott A. Forsythe, Esquire. A tribute to Honorable C. Ben Forsythe, respectfully submitted by Duncan W. O'Dwyer, Esquire. My friend, mentor, and colleague, C. Ben Forsythe, passed away December 21st, 2020, at the age of 94 years in Rochester, New York, where following his retirement from our law firm, he and his wife, Sally, resided in Pittsford, New York. Born in Rochester, New York on April 10, 1926, Ben graduated from the University of Rochester in 1947, having previously served as a seaman during World War II, and then from Cornell Law School in 1950. After law school, he, his father, and his brother John formed the law firm of Forsythe, Forsythe, and Forsythe. Outstanding trust and estates lawyer, extraordinary draftsman, and teacher, Ben served on the Monroe County Bar Association Estate Planning Council, the Tax, Trust and Estate sections, and as chair of the Professional Performance Committee. Ben served on the Executive Advisory Board for Roberts Wesleyan College the Executive Board of Associates of the University of Rochester, as chairman of the Warfield Scholarship Fund, as chairman of the Rochester Area Foundation, as a fire commissioner and town justice for the town of Webster for over 20 years, as designate hearing officer for the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, as president of the University Club of Rochester, and as a founder of the Town of Webster Historical Museum. Truly a Renaissance man, talented sailor, writer, consummate volunteer, devoted husband, proud father, and bright, intelligent, and loyal partner of our law firm, Forsythe, Howe, O'Dwyer, Kalb, and Murphy, PC, for over 50 years when he retired. Ben will be incredibly missed. A tribute to John A. D'Amico, Esquire, respectfully submitted by Carla D'Amico Wilsey, Esquire, John A. D'Amico Jr., Esquire, Philip E. D'Amico, and family. John D'Amico passed away on February 11, 2021, at the age of 91. John was born in Rochester, New York, and grew up on Scioto Street during the Great Depression, where he was raised by his grandmother, an immigrant from Sicily, Italy, and his father, Philip D'Amico. John attended Genesee Junior College and Valparaiso University College of Law. After John's service in the U.S. Army in the Judge Advocate's Office, he established his law practice, counseling clients for over 55 years. He was described by his law colleagues as a great lawyer and true gentleman, and by his clients as a wonderful, kind, caring attorney. John gave back to his community in many ways, including service to Hope Lutheran Church and the Monroe County VFW, the YMCA, and as a lifelong Democrat. John and wife Fran built their dreams and raised their family on their farm on North Grease Road, where they loved hosting gatherings with family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues for picnics, horseback riding, swimming, tractor rides, and walks in the woods. Among his fondest memories were the times spent with his contemporary attorney friends and their families. Dean and Carolina Farrow, Ange and Mary Costanza, Bob and Joanne Hirsch, Joe and Inez Guadagnino, and Charlie and Emmy Perica. Please honor John by sharing a random act of kindness with someone who just needs a bright moment in his or her life.
A tribute to George David Delucia, submitted by his son, Peter Delucia. My father passed away unexpectedly on November 27th, 2020, at the age of 79 from COVID. A devoted husband of 54 plus years, he is survived by his wife, Judith, grandchildren, children, cousins, nieces, nephews, and friends. George was born in Rochester, New York, to second-generation Italian immigrants and always held a great respect for his heritage. He graduated from McQuaid Jesuit High School in 1959 and Georgetown University in 1963, where he was in the ROTC program. Upon graduation, George served in the 3rd Missile Battalion, 79th Artillery, where he achieved the rank of captain and was awarded the Army Commendation Medal. While serving, he met his bride-to-be, and he and Judith wed in December of 1965. After completing his military service, George enrolled in Albany Law School, where he graduated in 1971. He then received his master's in tax law at Boston University and was admitted to the New York State Bar in 1972. He went on to practice tax, trust, and real estate law for several area law firms before going into practice for himself. He was a very patient counsel and went out of his way to assist clients. George loved his Georgetown Hoyas, family get-togethers, cooking on the grill, playing chess, swimming in the lake, and his family. He was instrumental in the growth of the Greece Soccer Club in the 1980s as a parent, fan, coach, and club president. He touched many and is dearly missed. A tribute to Ralph H. Boss Jr., submitted by his family. Ralph was born in Rochester, New York, and spent the majority of his life in and around Rochester. He is survived by his wife of 64 years, Monica, their 2 sons and daughters-in-law, and many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Ralph proudly attended the University of Rochester and Albany Law School. He was drafted into the Army out of law school and served in Indianapolis. Ralph was a general practice lawyer in the Rochester area for 49 years. He continued helping clients until a few months before his death at 88 years old. Ralph was a sports fan and especially enjoyed the local and college teams that he followed. He enjoyed swimming, racquetball, and basketball into his 60s.
A tribute to Charles I Shachter, respectfully submitted by Joyce Shachter. Humble, kind, and gentle, a true family man and friend. These are some of the words I saw most frequently in the many thoughtful notes I received after my husband Charlie passed away unexpectedly in December at the age of 64. Charlie and I had been married for 33 years, so I think I knew him pretty well. Certainly, I knew that Charlie's family and friends would be devastated by his passing. But what I did not anticipate was the depth of sorrow that would be felt by his colleagues, both past and present, or that I would hear from people with whom he had not worked in decades, but who still keenly felt the loss. Charlie graduated from Albany Law School in 1983. Perhaps sensing something special in him, his first employers encouraged him to enroll in a master's program in tax law at NYU, providing the funding for his tuition and the twice-weekly travel from Albany to New York City that his coursework required. After receiving his master's degree in 1988, Charlie went on to spend the vast majority of his career at Harris Beach. His colleagues at Harris Beach submitted the following. Charlie was more than a partner. To his Harris Beach family, he was a friend and confidant. Charlie kept a simple office highlighted by family photos, and from this understated environment, a quiet, brilliant lawyer created one of the most successful public finance law practices in the industry. Charlie was known by tax professionals nationally. The firm's email system was overwhelmed with heartfelt condolences from every firm Charlie worked with. Charlie can never be replaced. His Harris Beach family will never forget him. Beyond his professional achievements, Charlie was a wonderful husband, a proud father, and a devoted son, an enthusiastic world traveler, a committed Mets fan, for better or worse, and a lover of bike rides along the Erie Canal and trips to Bruster's Ice Cream. He was also happy to lend a helping hand, offer advice about important decisions, or just spend time with friends and family. Charlie's calm, friendly presence touched the lives of so many, and he is greatly missed. May his memory be a blessing. A tribute to J. Kevin Mahoney, 1934 to 2021, respectfully submitted by his children. Kevin was a native son of Rochester, born in 1934 to a father who practiced law and a mother who taught English. At 16, he graduated Aquinas High School and went on to Lemoyne College. After graduation, Kevin joined the Marines as a ship's medic. Upon his return, Kevin earned his JD and Master's in Taxation from Georgetown. Soon after, newly married to the love of his life, Rosemary, Kevin became the 29th lawyer of Harris Beach and its very first tax attorney. Being a lawyer was central to who Kevin was, and it's hard to summarize what his 35+ years of practice meant to him. He loved the dynamic intellectual challenge of tax law. He loved the discipline and logic of the legal profession, and he loved using law to help people. A quick look through his files found evidence of his work for every family in our neighborhood. He was a trusted advisor and a friend to many. Kevin was a family man, an investment advisor, and a lifelong Democrat. He made his children breakfast every morning, planned family driving vacations in a succession of station wagons, got us all to 8 a.m. Mass every Sunday, and celebrated March 17th with a green boutonniere. He taught us how to write and how to invest. He was a quiet man with a dry sense of humor. Above all, he was guided by the belief that one should work hard, be active in your community, and always seek to communicate by listening first and listening well. A tribute for Peter Audleyson, submitted by Kay Wallace. After graduating from Harvard Law School, Peter started his career at Milbank, Tweed, Hope, and Hadley in New York City. Then he happily moved to Rochester to join Harris Beach, the firm his great-grandfather, Edward Harris, had founded 100 years earlier. Peter practiced law with Harris Beach for almost 40 years, specializing in corporate law, mergers, and hospital governance. He served 2 terms as managing partner for the firm, overseeing some of its earliest expansion beyond Rochester. Peter was always a true gentleman in the best sense of the word, ever evidencing fairness and respect, leavened with his wry sense of humor. Peter engendered loyalty in his clients and was generous in mentoring young lawyers. His commitment to justice was evidenced by his work as a young lawyer after the Rochester race riots in 1964, serving on the Anti-Racist Fight Organization's board of directors and the Xerox executives incorporating L-Trex Industries to create more jobs for African-American residents. As an ally and pro bono attorney, Peter contributed significantly for some 20 years to the LGBTQ movement for equal ordination rights in the National Presbyterian Church. He was deeply committed to his community volunteer work in Rochester as well. His primary focus locally was serving at-risk urban children. Peter was a member of many nonprofit boards of directors and the founding chairperson of the Hillside Family of Agencies and the Children's Agenda. More than personal accomplishments, Peter valued character and relationships, especially his deeply loved blended family. These descriptive words from adult child capture well the thoughts and feelings of many. Dad's value-driven, thoughtful, respectful, well-reasoned, principled, relationship-oriented, and loving way of life showed me what is most important in life.
A tribute to Nicholas Moribito, submitted by James Moribito. Nicholas Moribito was one of those great people who lived a very big life in every way. He came from a large family and had a large family of his own. Not only an attorney, he was a politician, volunteer, investor, and friend. Nick grew up in East Rochester, served in the Navy Seabees during World War II, and then attended the University of Miami, where he met his wife, Patricia, and got a combined bachelor's in law degree in 1952. He and Pat raised 7 sons. Family occasions and holidays with his relatives meant a lot to him. After beginning at one law office, he started his own office in East Rochester. He was a legislative aide to an assemblyman and then to a state senator. He was elected to 2 terms as East Rochester Village Justice and served as East Rochester's school board attorney for over 6 decades. At times, his law office also included his brother, some of his sons, and a grandson. Nick knew how to have fun, whether it was playing golf well, going to OTB with his brother-in-law, or having a beer in the evening with pals. He worked hard serving his clients, and he knew how to play hard. Well into his 90s, he could still give solid, helpful advice, professionally and personally, and enjoy life. Tribute to Stuart D. Davis, submitted by Barbara James and Paul Braunsdorf. Stuart Davis was born downstate in 1940 and graduated from Williams College and Harvard Law School. He was convinced to come to Rochester in 1965 when he was hired as an associate at Harris Beach, Wilcox, Dale, and Linowitz. Stuart quickly found his calling in the tax, trusts, and estates department, where he practiced for 33 years until his retirement. He was truly the glue that held the department together and was a pillar of the local trust and estates community. Stuart loved the visual arts and was a part of the building committee that selected the artwork that graced the halls and conference rooms of the Harris Beach offices in the Granite Building. He made a special trip to New York City to purchase Audubon prints for one of the conference rooms. His own office was a mini art gallery, covered with a wide range of artwork, always a comfortable place for an associate to get an assignment, for a partner to ask for a consultation on the finer points of estate law, or for clients to execute documents. He also served as counsel for the Village of Fairport for many years, served on the boards of many local organizations, including the Norman Howard School, the School for the Deaf, and Rochester General Foundation. Stuart and his wife, Ann Havens, were deeply involved in the Rochester Community Arts Center. He was a chair of the ROCO board for many years and was a constant and enthusiastic supporter. After his retirement, he began creating artworks of his own, using the back of cereal boxes as the base for his creations. Many of his works were sold at ROCO's annual 6x6 sale. Stuart was a true gentleman, an enthusiastic golfer and tennis player, a practical and careful lawyer, and an excellent drafter, trusted by his clients and esteemed by his colleagues. We will all miss his keen wit, his smile, and his conversation.
Tribute, Richard P. Renzi. Sadly, on December 11, 2020, Rick lost his battle with COVID at age 67. Rick grew up in West Irondequoit, where he was a star athlete from an early age. He went on to the University of Rochester, where he played quarterback under the legendary coach, Pat Stark. He finished his education at Albany Law School and returned to Rochester to practice. When speaking to his coaches, the first thing they admired most about Rick was his work ethic. He was constantly pushing himself to be the best. In his real estate practice, his attention to detail was well known. To some, it was extreme, but others knew he was just attempting to be thorough. His clients respected his efforts, and he enjoyed a huge real estate practice, including work for some of Rochester's largest developers and many banks. The writer of this tribute, Ron Bircher, states, "I knew Rick for over 40 years and practiced with him for close to 35, first at Allen and O'Brien and later at Sutton, DeLue, Clark, and Darcy. When you work that long with someone, you get to know them well. With Rick, life was about his children, his daughter Robin and his son Chris. He was extremely proud of them and loved to detail their accomplishments to anyone who would listen. He also enjoyed spending time with his cousin Al and friends, attending any sporting event that might be occurring. Rick will be sorely missed by family, friends, and clients. He is survived by his daughter, Robin, his grandson, Finn, his son, Christopher, and his brother, Tom. Respectfully submitted by Ron Bircher, Esquire. David M. Gray, Esquire. David Gray passed away April 8 of this year at age 93. He is survived by his loving wife of 66 years, Miriam, devoted children, Stacy, Daniel, and Robert, and 4 adored grandchildren. He grew up in the Joseph Avenue neighborhood, one of 7 children, all of whom helped out with the family produce business at the public market. David graduated from Ben Franklin High School and then served in the U.S. Army occupation in Japan in World War II. He attended the University of Rochester and then Yale Law School. He practiced law for over 40 years in Rochester. He was very generous with his time and went well beyond the call of duty for his clients and junior associates. He loved the action and excitement of the Four Corners and maintained an office at the top of the Times Square building until he was almost 90. And while David enjoyed racquetball and swimming, a well-sung aria, a beautiful painting, driving a convertible, and breakfast at Jim's, the thing that really got him up in the morning and got his juices flowing was real estate deals, the sport of it all, the hunt. David was a very giving soul and supported many charities. He was particularly active at the JCC, serving as president during the relocation to Edgewood Avenue. When the building was finally dedicated in 1973, it was one of the high points of his professional career. He had escalating health challenges in his later years, but his love of family sustained him. A highlight during this period was a trip to Washington, D.C. on the honor flight. David, the kindness, optimism, generosity, uniqueness, and joie de vivre displayed in your long, full life continue to give us strength. You are dearly missed. Respectfully submitted by David's son, Dr. Daniel Gray.
A tribute to Jonathan H. Trost, Esquire, 1939 to 2020. Respectfully submitted by John's brother, Frederick Trost, and Jonathan's 16 nieces and nephews. Ralph Waldo Emerson summarized it in the words, quote, "To leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to have succeeded." Jonathan Trost succeeded. He embodied the characteristics of kindness, caring for others, understanding, and humility. These traits, combined with his keen legal mind and impeccable usage of the English language, were especially helpful in his trust and estates practice. John was educated at the University of Michigan Law School and the London School of Economics. Relying on his legal counsel, individuals and families were able to breathe easier. Never one to pass judgment, speak an unkind word, or draw attention to himself, John also devoted his life to his colleagues, friends, family, and the community. He served on the board of directors of the Children's Institute for 26 years and held leadership positions there. An active member of the Lutheran Church of the Incarnate Word, John also lived his life one day at a time in service to others, particularly those in recovery from alcohol addiction. A counselor in every way, John inspired us through his example to see that it is possible to leave the world a better place than we found it. Jonathan lived the spirit of the Beatitudes. A tribute to Henry R. Ipolito, 1942 to 2021, respectfully submitted by his son, Mark Ipolito. Hank passed away on May 6, 2021, after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. He is survived by his wife of 17 years, Janice, 3 children, Mark Ipolito, Lori Geringer, and Lisa Martin, 4 grandchildren, and 2 stepdaughters. Hank graduated Dunkirk High School as valedictorian, Syracuse University cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa in 1964, and with distinction from Cornell University, Order of the Coif, in 1967. Following law school, Hank joined the U.S. Navy, where he served from 1968 to 1971 as a Lieutenant JAG. He was in private practice for 44 years with Chamberlain Demanda as a defense attorney. He received many accolades throughout his career, including Best Lawyers in America and Super Lawyers. He served on the American Board of Trial Advocates as a member of the New York State Academy of Trial Lawyers and served as president of the Monroe County Bar Association from June 1987 until June 1988. He said that the highlight of his presidency was bringing then Chief Justice of the United States, William Rehnquist, to Rochester to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Constitution. On a personal note, I remember that my dad had charismatic wit and allowed me to sit up late and watch Saturday Night Live with him. He also introduced me to the movies Caddyshack and Stripes. Being exposed to a lot of humor affected my choice of careers. I've been in the comedy industry for 27 years, all originating from that couch at home.
A tribute to Harold G. Ashworth, 1922 to 2021, respectfully submitted by Andrew Ashworth and the sons of Harold Ashworth. Harold Galloway Ashworth was a Rochesterian to the core. He was born at Park Avenue Hospital in 1922. He graduated from Monroe High School and later enrolled at what was then Albany State Teachers College. In 1943, Harold enlisted in the U.S. Navy and went through the V-12 program at Union College at Columbia University. He served in the Pacific Theater and was discharged as a lieutenant in 1946. Harold received his law degree from New York Law School in 1950 and returned to Rochester to practice law. He then married Betty Wren, who became the love of his life. Together, they raised 4 boys in Irondequoit and made many friends. Harold was a Rochester lawyer for more than 50 years, first with the firm Gano and Solomon, and then as a partner with Gano, Solomon, and Ashworth, and he later practiced with Michael Pelosi. Harold also served as up-counsel to Gallo and Iacovangelo, focusing on real estate and corporate law. He was an active participant in the Bar Association and with contemporaries known as the Young Lawyers. That informal group held a close bond and friendship their entire lives. Harold was an active member of Reformation Lutheran Church. He loved music and sang with choral groups, including the church choir. He enjoyed the Rochester Philharmonic and Jiva Theater. He will always be remembered for having many of the personal characteristics of the greatest generation, and that he was principled and true to his beliefs, humble, financially prudent, and had integrity.
A tribute to Russell M. Lauria, Esquire, 1928 to 2021. Russell M. Lauria passed peacefully on March 14, 2021, at the age of 92, at home, surrounded by the love of his family, with the aroma of Sunday sauce filling the air. While he didn't have a Sunday meal with his children on March 14th, he was reunited with Mom, Mary, his wife of 56 years, in heaven. Dad came from humble beginnings, the son of Italian immigrants, a mason and a seamstress. Working his way through the University of Buffalo and UB Law School, Dad came home on weekends to lay brick with his father. While this helped his family, it brought joy to Dad because of the essence of Dad was to build and repair. I often think that this is why Dad enjoyed a successful career as an attorney for nearly 60 years. He saw practicing law as an avenue to build up people and repair lives. Countless clients have shared how Dad turned their lives around, saved a child, brought a smile to their faces. Speaking of smiles, Dad had a 1,000-watt smile that lit up the four corners of downtown, where he would share stories, tell jokes, and offer advice to colleagues. Dad built our family home, laying bricks with us, with Mom by his side. He fixed everything, and during these times together, he imparted his wisdom to us and built the foundation of our family. Of course, the day would end around the table, having a dish of macaroni with his family. Dad never forgot what was most important. Respectfully submitted by Cheryl Lauria Denolfo, Esquire, and the entire Lauria family. Tribute to Arnold J Goodman, 1931 to 2021. Arnold Goldman passed away on March 17, 2021, at the age of 89 due to coronavirus complications. He is survived by his wife Lynn, his son Jonathan D. Goldman, daughter Lisa Pelta, her husband Edward Pelta, daughter Ruth Heller, her husband Justin Heller, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren, and a host of family and friends. Arnold was a 3rd-generation Rochesterian, and he loved the city. He was a graduate of Monroe High School and Cornell University. He went on to Harvard Law School, where he was president of the Harvard Law School Forum and developed a keen love of the law. He taught constitutional law and courses on the Supreme Court in Rochester and in Florida. He was a member of the New York and Florida Bar. He authored many articles on the law and co-authored 10 editions of business law, principles and practices over a span of 30 years. He loved writing humorous letters and poems to family and friends. After graduation from law school, Arnold served in the U.S. Army from 1956 to 1958, while stationed at the Quartermaster Depot in Philadelphia. He revised a manual on military contracts and received a commendation medal for his work saving the government hundreds of millions of dollars. Upon his return to Rochester, he joined the firm of Nixon, Hargrave, Devens, and Day, where he remained for further interesting and productive years. He left in 1962 to join his father, Reuben, who had developed an expertise in the field of real estate tax assessment law. They practiced law together until Reuben's death in 1983. Arnold will be remembered by his family and friends for his humor, smile, and gentle ways. He found the law to be a wonderful and interesting profession and always enjoyed being an attorney and counselor. Respectfully submitted by Lynn Goldman, his wife.
Tribute to Alan Ilig, 1932 to 2021. Alan Ilig, a Rochester native and West High School graduate, was one of the brightest, kindest, gentlest, most conscientious, gracious, and modest persons. I first met him over 62 years ago when he was a summer clerk and I was a junior associate at the old Strang Wright firm, now Harder, Sechrist, and Emery, which was on the 8th floor of the Powers building. He was a few years older and was already a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Rutgers University. He received 2 degrees from Oxford University, the first as a Rhodes Scholar in 1955. He returned to Harvard Law School, receiving his law degree in 1960. Alan took time out from pursuing his degrees to serve as a United States Air Force officer. He joined HS&E in 1960 in the Trust and Estates Department, where he concentrated his practice with distinction for over 40 years, becoming a fellow of the American College of Trust and Estate Counsel. Alan's significant service was recognized by the Bar Association in 2006 when he received the prestigious Rodenbeck Award, citing his experience with some of the most significant organizations in our area, which included the United Way, YMCA, Rochester Presbyterian Home, Kirkhaven, the Al Siegel Center, the Strong Museum, Hillside Children's Center, and the University of Rochester Medical Center. Alan continued his extracurricular activities after retirement with Lifetime Assistance, Lifespan, and other organizations. Alan and his wife of 67 years, Elizabeth, raised 3 impressive children. He is survived by Liz and their sons, Rob and Carl. Respectfully submitted by Nathan J. Rob Fogel. Tribute to Ned Roman, 1927 to 2021. Ned Roman was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and raised in Pompton Plains, New Jersey. He earned a civil engineering degree from Tufts University, where he played multiple sports and was an engineer for General Electric. He joined the United States Marine Corps during the Korean War and joined an underwater reconnaissance team that predated the Navy SEALs. Ned later graduated from the University of Michigan Law School and joined Nixon, Hargrave, Devens, and Doyle, now Nixon Peabody, where he practiced law for over 40 years. Ned used his military and undergraduate discipline and technical mastery to help his clients, colleagues, and the community. He was the firm's resident expert on securities and banking laws and enjoyed representing large publicly traded corporations and family-owned corporations alike. Ned was the go-to partner for unusual and complicated situations and immersed himself in research in rare times he didn't already know the answer. He had a let's stay until we have an agreement approach and worked tirelessly to complete a deal. Ned helped guide some of Rochester's largest corporations during a period of great growth. He exemplified the highest attributes of the legal profession, an expert in his field, a tenacious but fair negotiator, and a patient mentor. He was a longtime volunteer with Habitat for Humanity and the Monroe County Legal Assistance Center. After retiring in 2000, Ned passed the CFA exam and joined Alesco Advisors as Chief Compliance Officer. Ned will be warmly missed by his biological family, his wife Judy, daughter Susan Culhane, and son John, among 4 grandchildren and many others, and of course, his Nixon Peabody family. Respectfully submitted, Bruce Baker. A tribute to John R. Wider, 1946-2021. Jack Wider died on May 17, 2021, surrounded by family and friends after being diagnosed with inoperable brain cancer in April of 2021. He was predeceased by his loving wife of 50 years, Catherine Wider. He is survived by his children, Sean Wider, Rachel Taylor, Meredith McDonald, 10 grandchildren, and his sisters, Linda Waterstred and Kathleen Wider, SSJ. Jack was a native of Rochester, graduated from St. John Fisher College and from Georgetown Law School in 1971. He had an almost 50-year career as a bankruptcy specialist with Harder, Sechrist and Emery, Damon Morey, and Barclay Damon. He was a respected mentor to many law friends and colleagues and was selected to Best Lawyers in America several times. Throughout most of his law career, Jack cared for his wife during her varying stages of multiple sclerosis. Jack served as chairman of the Rochester Area Multiple Sclerosis Society from 1980 to 1990. He was a man of faith and was more than 50 years a member of Our Lady of Lourdes Church and contributed to the parish as a lay reader and also as sound board coordinator, trustee, and finance council member. He was also active in St. John Fisher alumni affairs. He was a longtime member of Canandaigua Yacht Club and enjoyed sailing there, first in a Thistle and later on a large cruiser aptly named Unavoidable Preference. Jack had a warm smile that lit up a room. He enjoyed spending time with good friends, good food, and adores on the rocks. Respectfully submitted by Neil D. Madden.
After an exceptional 95 years of life, Bob Capon passed away on May 31st, 2021. Born in Rochester, Bob attended Franklin High School, after which he served in the Army during World War II and was honorably discharged in 1946. He then earned his college degree from the Cornell School of Industrial and Labor Relations and his law degree in 1952 from Cornell Law School. Shortly thereafter, Bob married his sweetheart Joyce and started a family, becoming active in St. Charles Borromeo Church and a variety of school and community activities in the town of Greece. He began his long career in the law as an associate at Harris Beach and later pursued practices in community law and with the County of Monroe. In 1966, Bob was elected to the first ever Monroe County Legislature, serving his Greece district for 5 years. Bob Capon was widely respected for his professional integrity, his devotion to clients and family, and his unending community service. He served as a volunteer firefighter with the Barnard Fire Department and as its president. In 2000, he was honored for 38 years of service and his pro bono legal work for the department. Bob enjoyed telling wonderful stories of his childhood on Lux Street in Rochester and his summer adventures with his 2 brothers, sister, and cousins on Sodus Bay. Bob loved fishing, hunting, and tending to his bountiful vegetable garden at his lakeside cottage, and traveling with Joyce and friend across the country, visiting national parks and historical sites. An avid ornithologist, he carefully recorded his bird sightings in Peterson's Field Guide. Bob adored spending time with his 7 grandchildren and many nieces and nephews. He was truly a special man. Respectfully submitted by his daughter, Barbara Kappan. Julian Washburn Atwater, otherwise known as Joe, died on July 30th, 2021 at the age of 90, peacefully at home. Joe graduated from Princeton's School of Public and International Affairs, and after serving as a lieutenant in the US Army from Harvard Law School. In 1958, Joe joined Nixon Hargrave Devens and Doyle, now Nixon Peabody, where he practiced corporate law and served in various leadership roles until retiring in 1999. With his keen intellect, consummate oral skills, high principles, and unbounded loyalty, Joe served as a trusted advisor to many businesses that were the economic drivers of our community. During Joe's career, he was the lead lawyer on some of the most significant transactions that took place in Rochester, including the sale of the Lawyers Co-op Publishing Company in 1989 for $810 million. In addition to being a trusted advisor, Joe was a very patient and kind teacher, mentoring many lawyers at Nixon Peabody, a number of whom are partners at the firm today and attribute much of their success to Joe. He was also a champion for women in the profession, giving them many opportunities and deriving great pleasure from seeing them progress in their careers. Joe also generously gave back to the community and profession by, among others, serving on the board of directors of Gleason Works, Attorneys Liability Assurance Society, and the Allendale Columbia School, and as a longtime member of St. Paul's Episcopal Church, the Country Club of Rochester, the Humdrum, Oasis, Kent Club, and Monroe County in New York, and American Bar Associations. Joe enjoyed gardening, birds, traveling, reading, singing, listening to music, and most importantly to him, spending time with his family. He will be remembered as the consummate gentleman. Respectfully submitted by Lori Green, Esquire.
Justice Taylor, this concludes the reading of the memorial tributes. I would request a copy of the transcript of this special proceeding be kept as a permanent record of the court, and that a copy of each memorial tribute be filed within the minutes of the Monroe County Bar Association. Maybe on mute, Judge. Still on mute, Judge. Can I get a thumbs up to approve the motion? Thank you. Thank you very much, Judge. Before we adjourn, I again want to thank Justice Taylor for his wonderful remarks at the beginning of the ceremony, and of course for presiding over this 2021 memorial ceremony. Oh, there we go.
Counsel, your application is granted. More than a thumbs up, it's granted. Please continue. My apologies, Counsel.
No, not at all. Thank you again, Judge. Thank you for many things today. I also would like to thank the members of the Memorial Committee for their hard work in ensuring a proper tribute to our colleagues who passed away during the past year. It's really been a pleasure working with this committee, and thank you for bringing texture and life to those wonderful words that you all read. Thank you also to Susan Hearn, was incredible, as was Danielle Matias from the Monroe County Bar Association. Thank you to Amy Monachino from the Hall of Justice, and our interpreters today, Christina Kelly and Jennifer Baraton. Thank you for your dedication and hard work in preparing for today's ceremony. Each year, before I also want to make one last thank you, and that's to the tribute writers. Thank you so much for sharing your words and stories and memories with us. They will truly be remembered, and every one of them was special. It's not easy to write a tribute, we know that. So thank you again for sharing your experiences with your loved ones with us. Very, very much appreciated. Each year, this ceremony is held to recognize selfless contributions to the practice of law and our community made by our colleagues. Their dedication and character in service to our profession and larger community serves now as a benchmark for each of us who continue to practice. It has truly been a privilege for us to have known and worked alongside these individuals. On behalf of the Memorial Committee and the Bar Association, we hope that the family and friends of those attorneys we honor today might find some solace in their tributes. And we sincerely thank you all for being with us today. We invite each of you to continue to share your thoughts in the Zoom chat box, and we're going to keep that open for another 10 minutes or so. So please, comments are coming, keep them coming. It's wonderful to read them. Justice Taylor, I now move to adjourn this special proceeding and the 2021 memorial ceremony.
Mr. Rogoff, thanks to you, thanks to the members of the Memorial Committee, and my deepest condolences to the families of those we honor today. And thanks to all of you who joined us to reflect on the contributions, the many contributions of these attorneys who have given so much to our profession, their families, and our community. The tributes that we heard today were touching, they were extraordinary. They were stories of lives well lived, of families well loved, of communities well served, and legal careers well spent. We truly stand on the shoulders of giants, and today we celebrate those giants, and they will be missed. Thank you again for giving me the honor, the true honor, to preside over this proceeding today. Mr. Rogoff, your motion is hereby granted. Thank you, counsel.
Thank you.